That is, in fact, the golden rule. If you do not treat others with love and kindness, which is the way that we all are treated, then there's something very wrong. And yes, you will come back and you will learn over and over again for however long it takes. Maybe it be 5 lives, maybe it be 25 lives, maybe it be 150 lives. It does not matter, because you see, time is a concept that only exists here on Earth. When you go into the spirit world, there is no time. Time is a circular cycle that basically says, you know, this goes on and this goes on and this goes on, and it's all played out harmoniously, because that's creation itself. But when you break it down into our 3D world, yeah, I assure you, there is a law called karma, and it is the law of cause and effect. And frankly speaking, it makes perfectly good scientific sense. If there is a cause of an action, there is going to be an opposite reaction to that same cause. So therefore, not only does the cause have an effect, but it also has an equal and opposite reaction as is necessarily brought about by the vibration and the energy expounded on reincarnation. Yes, I can attest that it's real, because I know for a fact I've been here more than once. All right? Exactly how many times, I couldn't tell you, because I really honestly don't know. I only know that I have an archive within the consciousness of my being that stipulates that, yes, I have had many lives in many places and experienced a great deal, and it is that experience and the wisdom that was garnered from those lives that I now have access to. Okay? So that's me.
There's not a lot of people willing to talk about their past lives, because so many people have no experience or knowledge of that, folks. So those of us that have usually wind up learning what our mission is on the planet. And one of mine as an extraterrestrial, in becoming an Ascension Master, I had a lot to learn, and I had to die as a child and die as an adult and see my child die and see my parents die before I had the courage to speak to people outwardly on the radio so people could hear, whether they wanted to hear or not. Something inside some of these people that are listening and playing with us is the fact that they have not received their memory of being out in space, out on a spacecraft or up working above these galaxies, and I have. And I can tell you there's a lot more that you need to be afraid of than just living here and worrying about falling over, because where there's a lot of love, there's also the opposite of that, and that has something that's much, much bigger than me. And I became very God-fearing, because God is everything. And when you realize God is everything and there is karma and dharma in this reality, that means you have to learn your lessons, because in order to be like God, that is the curiosity, that is the divine wisdom of knowing that you exist. And for God to exist outside of himself, herself, their selves, because we were created in the image of God, other gods hath he, many mansions hath he and the Father in heaven. And this was based on a time when there was no time. And I can attest to that, because I've been there, and it's very, very like nothing you could ever experience here, so you have nothing to relate it to. So the reason I came back in this reality again, after dying several times, and this meaning from 1951 till 2021, is the fact that I've lost a lot of loved ones, and it's hard, because you fall in love with your parents, with your siblings, your brothers and sisters, and to watch them die is very hard. And then to see your own children, parents aren't meant to see their own children die. It's probably one of the most painful things you'll ever experience. So that pain is what's given me strength to claim that I know God and that Jesus has sent me, because it was time for the Ascension Age Movement and for this to become a reality that all religions, they're either right or wrong, because they're made of man, not God. So when you're called to divine purpose as an Ascension Master to proclaim that Ascension is real, you have to walk your talk, and that is one of the hardest roads for anybody to lead. And I don't envy any of my fellow Ascension Masters, but we've been called, it's time, and we're going to open arms as long as we have them to open to everybody as a warm and welcoming group, regardless of what you think or know, whatever level you are at regarding other realms, dimensions, worlds, universes, and even in space, for all of you that are out there in virtual reality, especially you young kids playing all the games that we have set up. Yes, your elders set those up for you, so you would learn how to manipulate your energy inside a box, your box. It's your black box. It's your spirit, your soul. And what we're doing is giving you a way that you can use your senses so you can navigate around space when there is no time and there is no space. There's only darkness. There's only black. So for all of you out there that feel like you're a little on the mischievous side and you want to know what life is really like out there, you need to go into a pitch black room and shut every piece of light out around the windows, black tape it, where you can't see anything and you can't do anything and you just be. Now, for a lot of people, they call that meditation, but there's a form of sending and receiving energy and sending and receiving thoughts. And one of the lessons in our ways of teaching what we would call morals and integrity and principles, our integrity with the Ascension Masters comes from many, many lives back, where there was a lady that was over the gulf. It was a woman god over the souls, and she was over the gulf of souls. And it's a very, very deep place in this dark black space that one can fall into. And those that are the very old souls were the ones that helped create the newer souls based on what all of us came together as the various, way before time existed, way before there was space. So this is where we start talking about the Gulf of Souls. It's like the Gulf, G-U-L-F, the way we think of like the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf. And it's something you need to learn about because you want to know in the beginning. So in the beginning was nothing, absolute. And so we call God the monad, the absolute. God was all there was. But in the beginning they said the word. So God in the blackness, that I've taken you to tell you that that is how you begin your life's journey, in the blackness and the darkness, and you come out of it into the light. That's why we talk about the light, so you can see. And even people that can't see have a way to see inside their mind with visions and pictures that are created. And that is of a divine nature, because how else do they do it? But it's been proven they can, and they do, with their touching and feeling and hearing. So everyone has a mission and everyone has a calling. And many of us that are the older souls from way back in the darkness in the beginning, when we were feeling around, and I've actually done that, we were literally feeling around and we learned about cells and how we could each be individuals. And this is where all your universes come from. Believe it or not, there was way before the Big Bang Theory. So what you're going to be learning now in this reality is the many levels that we have created for you to know about inside the blackness, inside the darkness, outside and way inside what you call black holes, but it's all basically the same. But humans have not gotten there yet, even in our philosophy of science that we call quantum physics, but we're working on it. So right now, what we're going to call all that you're going to be learning in the future about when the world goes to darkness, and you may hope that your soul is not here when it happens, because if you haven't gotten the tools to survive that, then you may go right back into the Gulf of Souls and start all over again from the darkness. And I have to admit, that wasn't very much fun. I didn't make it the first time around, and I wound up spinning out into darkness and got on a circle of darkness and went all the way out to the future before I could understand the past. So there was no now for me. There was no isness. There was no nowness. There was no present. There was only me chasing the future, looking back in time, because there was no time. So I had no way to describe it because I had been not in the isness and the now. So we're doing our best as ancient souls coming back on the planet to teach a lot of things that have been left out of the teachings. And in a way, it's because humankind coming and going to this planet left it out. Or Mother Nature with this planet, which we've created for the way we take care of attrition rate and the oversouls, is we will take the different templates and we will fold them under each other, and that in turn will engulf, like how we got, well, Mu used to be here in Atlantis, but we will take the energy of the plates and fold them over, and that is sort of scrapes Mother Earth clean, and we start anew, and then we build up from that with the cells from Mother Nature and God and volcanoes, and it spews up and starts forming land again out of nothingness. So we go way back before there was land, fire, water, earth, and energy, all the way back to the original source, which is God. And I want you to learn how to talk about that, even if it's in your philosophic views as myths and legends, because humans have always had a way of keeping symbols, sound, and energy because they don't like the isness of the darkness. So we use symbols to record, and thank God that God formed light. So with the light, Richard, you want to talk about the light for a while? Because coming out, you know, we can go into a little bit of the esoterics, but our church has our beliefs, and we're going to make it as simple as we can. But talking to 18 and older adults continuing education, how would you say that we can start teaching the ascension? We've got the 7 chakras of your energy and the colors, so we'll use all the baby steps. It used to be called just chakras in the old Indian Eastern, but the Western modalities entertained it, and now it's become integrative medicine, and we're all teaching others how to help themselves heal their own souls with energy in where your chakra balancing is. But we also call these lights spinning one way or the other. The same thing we talk about planets spinning one way or the other. And now inside we know some cells spin one way while some spin the other. And I don't know how deep you want to get into that, but we've got a long time. We've still got 45 minutes left.
Well, I don't necessarily want to get into biochemistry or atomics or molecules for that matter.
Okay.
But basically, there is a propensity of energy that is a construct of light. Okay? Light basically animates everything. So you could say that light is the active source of God themselves. All right? And if you take it from that, you would understand that, of course, the greatest light we have here on Earth is the sun. And we are basically very much controlled by the sun. It determines when our food will grow, and when other things occur. It also measures our day and our night for us, because naturally the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And when it goes around to the other side of the earth, then those people in turn have a sunrise and a sunset, as opposite of ourselves here in North America. But in addition to that, I mean, where would your house be if you had no electricity? You would then have to shuttle down to candles, okay? And the candles, the fire itself is also light. Because why? It is a perception that we have that awakens our receptivity in our eyes, in our retinas, to show that, in fact, something is there and around and beyond ourselves in the direct environment in which we are. So light, we see by light. If it weren't for light, we would have no eyesight at all, because light itself is reflected on our retina and in various portions of our eyes that allows us to see. So in addition to that, then of course, the brighter the light, the harder it is on your eyes. So if we were talking God as a central force, then you would imagine that you could not watch or look at God, because the perception of God's face would be such a tremendous light that it would actually burn even your spiritual eyes, unless you were fully adjusted to there, or, given grace so that in turn you could perceive God's God in all their eminence without being harmed by any way. So we are absolutely under the constructs of light in our reality. We have the sun, which